Welcome to our mini class today. We're going to need a couple of props, maybe one or two things today. So either a blanket, or you could use a couple of blocks, or it could be a bolster if you have a bolster. We're going to start with a lying supported back bend. So when I go over to the mat, I'm going to show you a couple of options of how to do that. And it is optional, so if you find that lying over something to open the chest a bit isn't comfortable for you, then you can just do this lying on the ground with your arms out, which will give you a similar kind of experience. So I'll show you here. So I've got a blanket here. This is one option, and basically the blanket is it's folded over twice, so it's just a regular Mexican blanket folded over twice, and you can either roll it up into a ball, or what I like to do is make it like an accordion. So I just take it and kind of go back and forth. So I've got 4 sections like this. So it's about that thick, maybe a little wider than my hand, and then I'm going to use this to support my spine. So that would be one option. I would place my hips on the ground just at the end here, and I'll show you. Just get the blocks for option 2. So option 1, you're going to sit on the ground, and I like to have, if there's fringes on the blanket, away from my hips. So this is nice and flat here, and I'm just going to pull it right up to the back of my hips, and then I'll lie down over the blanket, and then this extra piece I've got, I'm going to use as a pillow. So now my shoulder blades kind of go on either side of the blanket, and you can kind of lift your hips up and tuck your pelvis under a bit to take some of the extension out of your lower back, if you like. And then the other option, which I will also demonstrate, is using blocks. So I have wooden blocks. Foam blocks are maybe a little bit more comfortable because they have softer edges, but whatever you've got will work. So I'm going to place one block sort of lengthwise. So this is where my shoulder blades will sit. And then a few inches away, I'm going to place another block for my head. You could use instead a folded blanket for your head, or a cushion. You want something a little taller probably than the block that you're on, so that your head is not, your neck isn't hyperextended, okay? So if I show you with blocks here, I'm gonna get the blocks. The lower one is supporting my shoulder blades. The upper one is supporting my head. And now it could also be like this. That's a bit tall for me. So I'm gonna have it down on its edge. So the back block for my head is a little higher than the block under my shoulders, and then arms out to the sides. So you can do this, as I said, with a blanket, either kind of accordioned so it's flat, or rolled up so it goes under the spine, either way, or blocks, or a bolster. So once you get yourself sorted, and if you need to pause to take some time to find just the right position, please do that. Pause the video, just take your time. You really want to get comfortable here. So I find it's comfortable with my legs bent. Some people are going to prefer straight legs. You could even, if this is comfortable for you, let the knees come up to the sides, and maybe even support your knees with more blocks or more blankets. The other option is knees together, feet a little wider, and that creates support for your knees so you don't have to work to hold them there. So finding the position that works for you, and then starting to settle here for several breaths. So our theme this week is the breath and the area of the heart. It's really important when you're working with the breath not to force the breath or to strain in any way with the breath. So this position here naturally creates a little bit more space around the rib cage, around the shoulders, around the chest. So allowing yourself to settle here and just let the breath be as it is. There's no need to change the breath in any way. Tuning into your breath as it is and enjoying this moment of simply being with your breath, being with yourself. Try to keep your mind really tethered to the breath. So you're just watching the inhale, watching the exhale, being curious about where the breath moves, how you feel it. If you're not comfortable with this back bend, you just skip it, lie on the ground, arms out to the sides in whatever way gives you a little bit of feeling of openness without creating any kind of tension at all. We'll take a few more breaths here. And whenever you're ready to come off your support, blocks or bolster or blanket, the easiest way to do that, the most, the least strain for most people is to just roll off to the side, keeping your head supported, and then using your opposite hand to guide you back to a seated position. So once you come upright, we'll come into the cat-cow just to release any kind of holding or tension that you may have inadvertently brought into your spine with that movement. So just getting a little more movement in here. Coming to hands and knees. You can also do this seated if hands and knees isn't an option for you. Right? So if you don't want weight on your knees or your wrists, just sitting in a chair or on the floor, and a matter of gently moving the spine in one direction and then the other. So as you inhale, if you're on all fours, you're going to pull back with slightly bent arms, drawing the chest forward between your arms, and then push into your hands, pressing the spine toward the ceiling as you tuck your chin in. Inhale, soft, soft arms. So you're not locking up and jamming up your shoulders, drawing back, and then pushing firmly into the earth, rounding and lengthening. Inhale as you extend or arch the back. Exhale as you flex or round the spine. Right, and then if it suits you, you can come into child's pose, either with the knees just slightly apart, hip distance apart, or you can take the knees quite wide, feet stay close together, and come back, hips toward the heels. The head can rest on the ground or on your hands. And the other option here, if this isn't okay for your knees and ankles, you can be more in a modified puppy pose, resting on your forearms, hips in the air, head hanging toward the ground. You could even be with the head resting on the ground. You just want to make sure there's not pressure on your neck in this position. Great. When you're ready, we'll slowly come upright. And you're going to make your way to a standing position. So you can do that first into a squat. We'll end up in a forward bend. So if you want to squat and then come to a forward bend, that's one option. You could also place your feet in front of you to come to a forward bend. That's another option. So find your way to standing forward bend, soft, soft knees. You can bring your elbows up onto your thighs, which is a really good option if you're dealing with high blood pressure, any kind of head pressure, headache or sinus cold, anything like that. You want to keep your head up higher than your heart. Otherwise, you can let your body relax for a few more breaths over the legs. Okay, and then when you come up to standing, as long as you don't have any issues with your spine, if you have issues with your spine, I'm going to recommend you come up with a flat back. But if it's comfortable for you and everything feels good here and you have no spinal issues, you can roll slowly upright. And coming up to mountain pose, and just take a moment, let everything settle. If you feel a little lightheaded, just pause for a moment, come to your breath. And finding your way to mountain pose with the feet underneath your hips, shoulders over the hips. And then from here, we'll take the feet just a little bit wider, bring the hands to the hips, and we'll do a few circles with the hips just to get things moving here. And then you can switch directions as well. Okay, and then we'll come into some shoulder rotation. So really soft knees. One shoulder comes forward and then back, and then the other lifts forward and back. So lifting, rolling the shoulders. One way and then the other. Keep your knees soft throughout. And if you feel any tension in your knees at all, you want to unlock your heels from the ground so that you're not creating any tension anywhere in the body. Nothing's locked or held, right? And then come back to the center. You can bring your feet in a little bit so that they're under the hips. We'll take the hands, turn them out, reach down with the shoulders and arms, up with the crown of the head. And then inhale and let the arms float upright, up towards over your head. Bring the hands together, exhale, and bring the palms together down in front of the heart. Put a little pressure into your hands, your arms, so you feel some engagement across the chest and arms. You can press slightly down with the hands toward the ground to give a little stretch to the wrists as long as that feels comfortable for you. And then from here, we'll lift the hands, coming up with the breath in. And exhale, big circle, really reach the arms out. And then bring the hands behind your back. If it's available to you, interlace your fingers. Otherwise, just keep the arms parallel. Draw the shoulder blades in towards each other and lift the heart for a couple of breaths. Try to do this without creating tension. So you're not squeezing as hard as you can, but just a little bit of a lift in the heart, softness in the jaw, ease in the breath. Right, and then slowly release the hands, spread them out to the sides, arms reaching out, fingers wide, reaching, feel that bit of stretch up the arms. If you want a bit more, reach the arms back a bit so they're behind you, not too far behind, but just a little back. Whatever feels good, right? For you, it might be more straight out or even more forward, depending on your shoulders. And then we're going to take the arms, right arm over the left, cross over your chest, bring your hands to your shoulders. Let your elbows rest down, crown of the head lifts, long spine. And then we're going to soften the knees a bit, round the upper back a bit, and let your head come down. And then you can rock a little bit side to side, opening some space up in the back of the heart, the back of the lungs. Great, and then coming back to the center, lift back upright, release the arms, palms out. Stretch down with the shoulders, up with the crown of the head, reach the fingertips toward the ground, and inhale, lift up again. The hands together, coming back to the heart. Put a little pressure into your hands and feel that engaging across the chest and arms. And then inhale and lift. Exhale, big circle around. Arms come back. Maybe interlacing the fingers if that's available. Shoulder blades down and back. A little lift in the heart and taking a few breaths here. And then arms out to the sides. Taking a big breath in and reaching out as you exhale. Take your right arm over your left now. Shoulders and elbows relax down. Soften your knees, bend a little bit. Bring your head down between your arms. And again, sway with the upper body a little bit side to side, inviting some movement and space into the upper back, the back of the rib cage, the shoulder blades. It's often an area that gets tight for folks. Right, and then coming back to the center and open the arms wide. Reach out with the fingers, stretch, and release. Right, and then give everything a little bit of a shake. I'll take the feet a bit wider this time. And move into a bit of a side bend here. So again, soft knees. We never want to lock the joints. Can create a lot of tension in the body. Turning one palm out, lift up with the breath in. And then exhale and reach over to the side. Inhale, center, and as you come to the center, switch, and then exhale to reach to the other side. Inhale, lift. Exhale, switch, or lean, or reach. Inhale, you're going to switch as you inhale, exhale to take it to the side. Try staying for a couple of breaths. Again, it's not how far you go. It's really finding that length in that one side without collapsing the other side. So keep lifting both sides, and then when you're ready, you'll switch. Same thing, let this lower arm be relaxed, shoulder reaching down, breathing into the longer side without collapsing the shorter side. Right, and come back to the center, releasing that arm down. We'll lift both arms up, breathing in, coming into a forward bend, releasing. Inhale to lift, and repeat this movement a few times. If it's a position that works for you, feels good for you, you can come forward and stay either hands or elbows on your thighs, or letting the body dangle, arms maybe held or loose. When you're ready, come all the way up. Big breath in. Reaching up overhead, and then spreading the arms, spreading the fingers, reach out to the sides. Pause there. Feel that stretch in the arms. And then slowly let the arms float down. Bring the feet in underneath the hips again. And we'll bend the knees, lift the shoulders, roll back as you straighten the legs. Again, bend and rotate the shoulders. Lovely. Great. And then we'll come back to mountain pose. From mountain pose, we're going to make our way back to the ground, to all fours. If downward dog is an option for you, you can go through downward dog. If not, just make your way to all fours and we'll meet you there. If downward dog is an option, you can make sure you've got a little bit of space behind you, and you'll reach up with the arms. Come forward. You could just step right back to all fours from here, or step back to downward dog. Walk in place. And then eventually find your way back down onto your hands and knees. And we'll come back to the movement that we did earlier of inhaling, slight bend in your arms, draw forward with the chest. Exhale, press into the ground, maybe add child's pose if that feels right for you. You go back and forth a few times in whatever version of this movement feels best for you. Again, if child's pose is a comfortable position for you, you can stay there. Knees can be apart, knees can be together, or you can do either of those with the weight on the forearms if your ankles and knees are happier with that position. To find a position that works for you, we'll spend a few breaths here, letting the back lengthen and release. And noticing, can you feel any movement in the back of your body as you breathe? If so, where do you feel that movement? Softening wherever you can. If you're not comfortable in this position, you can keep moving as we did a moment ago from all fours, or just come to sit at any point. When you're ready to release from child's pose, come upright. And if you're comfortable sitting on your heels, you can stay here. If you prefer, you can come to sit on a cushion or on the ground. We'll bring the hands together. Take a moment to tune into your breath again. The heart and the lungs working together to send oxygenated blood through your system. And when it comes to the breath, the most important thing is that we're breathing. There's no need to breathe in any particular way, though we can. Simply noticing that we're breathing can have a tremendous impact on our level of stress. So as you go through your week, notice when you hold your breath and what that does to your stress level. And if possible, simply reset the breath and come back to a nice easeful breath whenever you notice that you're holding or creating tension around the breath. Namaste. You enjoyed the mini class today. If you want to take a few minutes for Shavasana, please do. If you want to get on with your day, have a great one. We'll see you soon.